Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Chasing Jay Show. I am your host, Jay Sorsby. My co-host, this way, is Chasing Adventure, and tonight we have a special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, the old man himself, Mr. Pat. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm hanging in there. How are you?
Man, we're doing all right.
Yeah. Hopefully you're doing better. You know, that first time we talked, you said you felt like, Tom Hanks from Castaway and didn't know how to interact with people. So you've had a little bit of time to adjust. Are you good now?
I'm doing better. It's been a trying week. We traveled up to New Jersey for a wedding tomorrow, and then Tuesday we have my sister-in-law's funeral. She passed away from myotonic dystrophy. Last week right after the ride was finished. So she got to see the ride finish. She was pretty excited about the ride. So, it's been a crazy week, and then we go on vacation for 2 weeks.
Vacation's always good.
That sounds like a pretty good. Aside from the funeral, that sounds like a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to vacation with the wife. I only got to visit with her 6 times over the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Distance makes the heart grow fonder, I've heard.
Yeah.
Yes, as long as she remembers who I am. We are old.
What's up, Wagonators? How's it going? Road reality. I don't even. He's talking about existential crises and stuff up there. Wife, girlfriend, mortgage. I don't know, man. Listen. Now, awesome. So you already answered one of my questions. Dang you. I was going to ask you how you were connected to the myotonic. Like how that charity came up. So I guess you sort of answered that a bit just now.
So how we're connected. My wife's whole family. So let me get my phone situated here. So my wife's her 4 sisters have myotonic dystrophy, and now 2 of them have passed from it. Her mom had it. Her grandfather had it. Many nieces and nephews, great nieces, great nephews, aunts, uncles, cousins. It's definitely a hereditary disease that affects more than 150,000 people in this country. And they used to do walks. Mom and dad were farmers, and they had a team called Farmers' Daughters. And they would do walks in the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania to raise awareness and raise money for myotonic dystrophy. And that got stopped with COVID because, there's no way possible that you can social distance in a park. That's just not possible. So we tried to come up with a way to raise awareness and raise funds for myotonic dystrophy. And I like motorcycles. So we decided to do a ride.
So you decided to ride, well, was it originally 125,000 miles that went to 150, right?
The ride was set for, it was 125,000 plus miles and 125 plus days. So we rolled in, to Sturgis with 100,000 miles in 100 days, which was a record that Chris Hopper had set about 3 years ago. And and prior to Chris doing that, I had never even contemplated. Who would ever think of riding, that many miles in that many days? Yeah. And when Chris finished that and we were talking about this, I'm like, maybe I could do 125. Which is it's easy to think about. It's easy to say, oh, I could do that. And then, when reality kicks in, it's way harder than it sounds. And then, so we called it the 125 plus ride. So we hit the 125 mark, and the fundraising was $42,000 on day 125.
Nice.
And it's just like this doesn't cut it. We set a goal for 125,000. So I set out on day 126, which was my plus day. And I put a challenge out to all the followers that if I get $1,000 or more in donations today, I'll ride again tomorrow. And if I get 1,000 or more tomorrow, I'll ride the next day. So when we ended the ride on 145, our fundraising went from 42,000 to 92,000, which was way closer to 125 than 42 was.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then as dumb as this sounds, accidentally the next day I hit 1,000-mile mark riding back to Oklahoma with my friend Terry Collier. So the ride ended up 146,000 in 146 days.
Nice.
Woo.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of miles.
The previous record prior to Hopper was maybe 75,000.
Nope. The previous record was Matt Wise, and Matt had 45 and 45.
Okay. Yeah, I read Chris's book, which is so funny because he was so casual in it, about the whole thing, and I'm like, this is like the craziest thing I've ever heard of, and you're just like, oh, I went for a ride,
Yeah, and that's what it is. You go out and you ride and you ride and you ride, and it's just every day is just you're just doing a saddle sore.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just a saddle sore
every day
half a year.
Right. Yeah, every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So, well, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. That my tonic question was later, but I was just like, he already answered it for me. So, like I said, Pat, we kind of like to do the past, present, future. So, I got to get some details on the guy who rode 145,000 miles in 145 days from way back when. Back when maybe they were steam powered, I'm not sure. But how old were you when you started riding?
So I started in the dirt at 9 years old. I went to Mom and I said, hey, Mom, I said, my friend Greg's selling a motorcycle. And she says, there's no way in hell you're getting a motorcycle. So I had gone down to Greg's house. I said, I wanted to buy Greg's motorcycle. I said, but my mom said I can't get one. And his dad says, well, if she's not going to give you the money to buy it, there's not a lot I can do. I said, well, I don't need her to give me the money. I have my paper route money.
Yeah.
Said, oh, well, if you have the money and you want to buy it, you can keep it here.
Oh, there you go.
So thank you, Greg's dad. And I bought my first dirt bike, and Greg's dad helped me take care of it. And we kept it stored there. And then at 17 years old, I bought a motorcycle, my first street bike. And
what was it?
What was it? Yeah, come on now.
It was a 1982 Honda Goldwing.
Oh, you started planning your iron butts out of the gate. I got you.
Right.
Well, in 4 years, I put 580,000 miles on that motorcycle.
Woo!
So I was stationed out in California. Mom lived in Jersey, and I was a homesick kid.
Well, at least you picked the right bike for it,
Yeah, there's no doubt, and I love the 1200 Aspen Ks. I have one in the garage now. I have an 85 in the garage now, and I have an 86 I have to pick up in Pennsylvania.
I had an 85 black Aspen K for about a year and a half. Loved it.
I'm picking up an 86 black one, and I have an 85 champagne one.
Nice.
But Jay, did you put 138,000 miles on it that year? Or?
No. I put like 3,800 miles on it in a year.
So, yeah, they're just machines. People, if you change the oil and you do the maintenance on them, they're just machines. It's like anything else. If you take care of it, it'll take care of you.
Yeah, I took it to a shop because I was having clutch problems out of it, and I guess this hand, but. And the guy was like, oh, yeah, we're going to have to put a new clutch in it. And he told me what it was going to cost. And I'm like, nope, let's just sold it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I readjusted the clutch the best I could, got it so it would ride all right, and sold it off for like $1,500.
So that sort of begs the question, did you do any 1,000-mile days in your on your Goldwing, judging by the math there? Did you hit 1,000 miles on it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would leave out of San Francisco on Thursday afternoon. I'd get home to Mom. I'd visit for 6 hours, and I'd get back to San Francisco on Monday morning from Uster.
Yeah. See, he's built different, Jay. This is not fair.
Hey, look. I thought I was doing good leaving work and riding 120 miles to go see my girl, and then sleeping for a couple hours, getting up at 2:30 and being back at work at 6 a.m. So
there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
everybody has their idea of what a long ride is, you know.
Yeah.
And if somebody's normal is 100 miles, and they decide that, you know, they're going to push it out for 150 miles, that's a long ride for them. So
Yeah.
I mean, God bless them. They're pushing their limits, they're expanding their horizons. I mean, you know, a long ride is a long ride depending on who you're talking to. You know, the ride that I did was, I mean, you know, I told a lot of people it was, you know, there's a fine line between dedication and stupidity, and I think I was far left on this one. I mean, I managed.
What even qualifies as a long ride for you now, Pat? Where's your bar?
So,
Where's your lady?
212.
Oh, upstairs. I'm going out for a cigarette.
So what classifies as a long ride for you now?
Oh, I mean,
146 days.
You know, I mean, you know, I mean, 600, 700, 800 miles is still a long day. You know, I don't care how you slice it. I mean, 1,000-mile days is not something that I just, you know, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to go for a ride. I'll see you in 15 hours. I'm just going to go bang out a saddle sore.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's, you know, I mean, have I done? Yeah. I mean, if I want to go have lunch with my sister who lives down in Houston, you know, it's 1,080 miles door to door. So I'll get up at 3 a.m. I can ride down there, have a meal with her, sleep for a couple hours, and I can be back home the next morning.
Right.
You know, so that's not out of the question.
Right.
A 38-hour coast to coast run is not out of the question from Myrtle Beach to San Diego. So, you know, it's just, you know, there's got to be a reason to want to go out and do it.
Yeah.
My reason is I just, you know, I get out there and I push myself. If I say I'm going to do something, I do my best to get it done the way I say I'm going to get it done. Sometimes everything works the way it's supposed to. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes there's a monkey wrench thrown in the middle, like day 73, you know. But other than that, you know, you set your mind to do something, you do it. And, you know, if nothing, I mean, obviously the awareness for the myotonic dystrophy did well with the ride.
Yeah.
But if there's, you know, if there's any of the younger generation that have followed the ride or looked at it, you know, even if they're non-believers going, there's no way in hell this got done. If they take nothing else out of it, then, you know, if you say you're going to do something, if you set your mind to do something, just give it whatever you have to get it done. I mean, as long as you try your best, you know, you didn't fail.
True.
So.
Yeah, and I tell folks that all the time. Like, you know, I've said this 10 times at this point. Every time I post about us doing this live, that I'm like, you know, kind of full disclosure, I'm like the world's babyest baby iron butter compared to, you know, Pat here. But like, you know, people act like it's this wild thing, and I'm like, it's really not that difficult to go out and ride 1,000-mile day. Like, if you put your mind to it, you know, and you just kind of buckle down and do it, it's not like some crazy feat of strength or anything like that.
The hardest thing for people with, you know, trying to do their first saddle sore, their first 1,000-mile day, is the efficiency at gas stops.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to pull in for gas and you're going to put your kickstand down, and you're going to take off your helmet, and you're going to take off your gloves, and you're going to go in and you're going to get something to drink, and you're going to use the bathroom, and you're going to get a snack, and you're going to smoke a cigarette, and then you're going to pump your gas. And then you're going to go in because they didn't give you a receipt. And while you're in there, you pick up some gum. You know, now you can, and now you're 45 minutes at a gas stop.
Yeah.
That's going to kill you. If you get your hydration down beforehand, you know, you've got your drinks, you've got your Camelback, your hydration tanks, whatever it is you're drinking. Bring your snacks, bring your food. I mean, we're only talking 16, 18 hours. You can have a tank bag. You can put enough stuff in your tank bag, and you can eat and snack while you're riding. And get down the road, pull in for gas, pop your gas tank open, fill it up, and keep going. Don't take your helmet off. Don't take your gloves off. Stand up off your seat to give your legs a little different position. You know, give your ass a rest, and then, you know, fill up and get back on the road. And if you get your gas stops, you know, even if you get them down to 8 or 10 minutes, a saddle sore is very doable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And contrary to popular belief, as cool as Pat's bike is here, this is absolutely not necessary to do a saddle sore.
No.
No.
You do not need all of this, but no, it's I always tell people, like people have done saddle sores on Groms, on Sportsters, all sorts of stuff, that has a 2 gallon gas tank or, is 2 feet off the ground or whatever,
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of, again, like you said, I mean, at least I like to think I'm the same way. Where like once I set my mind to something, I'm going to do it. Like I'm going to do it unless I have mechanical failure or something, whatever.
But even if you do have a mechanical failure, you still got it done.
True, I have pushed through mechanical failure. I paid for it afterward, but
I'm sure you guys have heard of Long Haul Paul, right? Million Miles MS. I mean, Paul Pellin does some crazy stuff on some crazy motorcycles, and he just sets his mind to it and gets it done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and now we discussed this, I believe, when we first talked about doing this live. But just for reference, how many iron butt miles do you have?
Iron butt miles.
Like, how many certified iron butt miles do you have, like, lifetime?
So I had 4 Bun Burner Golds that were all ride to eats and never had an IBA number. And then I was going down to Mexico to do the Baja 1000. And I was told I needed a number. So Marco got a hold of the IBA here. And I don't know if he talked to Kneebone or who we talked to. And I got the next number in line if I completed the Baja 1000. So I completed that. So I now have the Baja 1000 and 4 BBGs.
Okay. Well, I think when we were talking, you had said something like it was like 1.2 million miles was what you had done.
So lifetime miles. I think day 83, I hit 2.5 million.
2.5 million. Woo! Yeah, that's wild.
And they're not certified. And I mean, the only documentation I have is I have a notebook, and it's got the motorcycle that I bought and what the mileage was when I bought it, and when the mileage was when I either wrecked it or got rid of it. And I have 2 different notebooks, and I can just add up the mileage in there. And there's a couple of bikes in between when I lost notebooks before I started another one. And then I found the one that I had. So, and again, this is the first ride I did for anybody else.
Yeah.
I ride my motorcycle for me. I don't ride it for Facebook. I don't ride it for other people. I'm literally the guy that, you're never lost. You're just somewhere you've never been before. So, I don't, every time I get on a motorcycle, I'm not on Facebook. I never did trackers until I started doing the Hoka Hey Challenge back in 2020. I didn't even know trackers were a thing.
Yeah.
So,
have you done the Hoka Hey, did you say 3 times?
3 times.
See, he's an alien, guys.
It was a good training ground for this ride.
Right. Oh man, no, I love seeing these setups because, like, when you first see something like this, you're like, what are you, like a 2-wheel storm chaser? Like, what is this?
I was big flight. I'm a pilot.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Chase, for anybody that doesn't know, what's a Hoka Hey?
Pat, you tell us. You done it.
So it's a personal challenge. It's a motorcycle challenge. It's a minimum of 10,000 miles. You have, for the most part, there's no highways, no interstates, no ferries, no toll roads. So the majority of it is secondary roads, back roads, technical roads. There's no GPS. You get a written route that you have to follow. So you get your written route at 5:30 Sunday morning. You roll out at 6 o'clock Sunday morning for your first leg, which is somewhere around 2,500 miles. You have to follow the written route. There's a tracker on your bike to make sure that you do the route, and you have to camp next to your motorcycle. There's no hotels.
Nice.
So it's pretty serious.
And it's 1,000 miles.
Yeah. Yeah, and what elite finisher is what, 13 days?
Yeah, elite finisher is from the time you start, if you make it in by midnight of the 13th day, you're meet finish.
Yeah, that's the well, 145,000 miles in 145 days is also pretty scary. But
Right.
as far as individual rides go, like the Hoga Hey is the scariest thing I've ever heard of. You know, like not being able to use GPS, having to sleep next to the bike, like that's very hardcore. You know.
Right, and then depending on who you are, now like for me, the rallies to me are like they're quasi no-nos.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that guy. I'm not the technological guy. I mean, I was trying to turn the camera on the laptop and ended up using my phone. I mean, technology eludes me for some reason. So for me to try and sit down with, Google Maps and put in, how many waypoints to navigate to certain, bonus locations to earn points and try and put combinations together to earn more points, and that's just that makes my head hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know people that are really into that sort of thing. I've dabbled with it a bit, but yeah, the tracking and doing specific things, I will say I do like to put points on the map just as ways to get out and find things, but I'm not a big fan of that, or at least for me, the whole going out to find your 5 little things, isn't really my jam necessarily,
Yeah, and it's like I'm not the I'm not the attraction guy. You know, I mean, I'm not. I don't particularly care about the monument that's sitting in the woods in Alabama from the Louisiana Purchase or what. That's not my thing.
That's Arkansas, sir.
No, it had to be Louisiana or Alabama.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't even know what y'all are talking about. I'll take your word for it. You can tell me it was in Cleveland, and I'd believe you.
But yeah, I did a rally. I did the TNT rally that was put on by Hoagie's Heroes, and it took us to, and it was this little wooden statue. You had to pull in. You had to be there in a certain time frame. They're only open during the day. They closed the gates. You pulled into this gravel parking lot. You had to follow this wooden boardwalk back to this old stone statue from the Louisiana Purchase. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. We took our picture. Let's go.
Right.
But now put me on a nice road. Put me on Highway 97 through Oregon, out through the National Forest, and let me look at the trees instead of looking at the forest and the different lighting and the different cloud formations. I can go down that road 3 times over 3 consecutive days, and 3 times it's going to look different to me because I'm actually looking at the scenery. I'm not just going, okay, here's a road through the forest. And that's the stuff I enjoy. I mean, I've got some pictures of storms, and you can just see the depth of the clouds. And if it wasn't for the fact that I knew I was riding into that shit storm, I could have watched it forever, but I knew I had to ride through it. So I just, I didn't want to have to deal with it. But it was absolutely breathtaking to look at the way the clouds were rolling and the lightning and the hail. It was just, I mean, in a weird, eerie kind of way, absolutely beautiful to look at. Yeah. And you realize that you're on 2 wheels and you're going to get your ass kicked.
Yeah. How many times did you get rained on, would you say?
I think a fairer question would be, how many days didn't I? And that's my own fault because, I had my phone and I had my GPS and I had my tablet, and I had 3 different weather radars, and the Indian Pursuit has a weather radar built into it, so it tracks you and gives you the weather where you are. Yeah. And I'm like, how cool would it be if I didn't hit any rain for 125 days? This is the rainiest summer that I have seen in the U.S. in a long time, to the point where there was a week that I went, I'm going to the Pacific Northwest because it's the only place in the country that's dry.
Right.
It's never dry in the Pacific Northwest, but I was there for a week, 70 degrees, no rain. That was my longest stretch.
Did you do like Spot Walla or anything to track your route?
Yep. It was on Spot Walla. The Spot Walla link is on the Vroom page.
Okay, I need to check it out because I was curious. I know I'd seen Hopper's 100,000 miles, and I just like to dissect it and kind of see what decisions were made. You know.
Yep. If you go to the Vroom Old Man page on Facebook, tag to the top of the page is the tracker, and it looks impressive to look at the whole map. And then what you have to do is you have to zoom in on it, and you have to zoom in on like different intersections. And I mean, there's some roads, there's no doubt. SR20 over Washington, absolutely gorgeous road. But I rode it after I got busted up on day 73. It kicked my ass on my shoulder. I was not doing any scenic roads. I was trying to avoid the twisties because I was in pain. But you can see, some of the interstates, some of the secondary highways, where I crisscrossed multiple times. And there's this hidden gem. If you're riding in the summer, if you just want to bust out miles, I was calling it the Triangle. So it's Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Fargo, North Dakota, and Billings, Montana. So if you let's say we start out in Fargo, North Dakota, and you go west on 94, and you start out early in the morning, you've got the sun to your back. By the time you hit Billings, the sun is well overhead. Now you take 90 back east. You're not driving into the sun. Now it's to your back again. You hit Sioux Falls at Interstate 29. You go north to Fargo. Now it's getting dark out. You've been running 80-mile-an-hour roads all day. It's 1,540 miles, and it's 19 hours of riding.
Yeah, that's pretty good lick.
Yeah, right.
And keeping the sun at your back every chance you get. That's where it's at. Instead of riding into the sunset sucks.
It's tough. I mean, it looks good on the cowboy movies, but God bless.
Yeah, but it sucks looking through that windshield. So, what was the cause you rode for?
Myotonic dystrophy.
Can you tell us Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So muscular dystrophy, and depending on your age, I mean, I'm 60 years old. I remember growing up watching Jerry Lewis on Labor Day.
Yep.
I had Labor Day telethon for muscular dystrophy. And muscular dystrophy has since grown into 9 separate diseases, as it will. Myotonic dystrophy is one of them. Duchenne's muscular dystrophy is another one. You have spinal muscular atrophy. And I met a young man on this ride up in Anaconda, Montana, who had the spinal muscular atrophy. Another one is myasthenia gravis, and my daughter-in-law, my son's wife, passed away from that about 3 years ago now. So and that's 4 of the 9, and I don't know what the other 5 are, and they're literally just debilitating muscle diseases. Myotonic dystrophy affects all the muscles in the body. Definitely the lungs, definitely the esophagus. Makes it hard to swallow, to eat or drink. Makes it hard to breathe. Makes it hard to eliminate whatever you do eat or drink. As well as just your arms, your legs, your heart. I mean, they're all muscles.
Yeah.
So
is it fatal in terms of, like, if you have it, you will eventually die from it, or
you will? There is no cure. There's no cure for any of them. And that's the hard part. That's a lot of research is being done as to what the gene is. Can they change the gene or mutate the gene? And myotonic is hereditary. I know, and they used to think it was an adult onset disease, and they're finding out that the further down in generations it goes, the younger people are diagnosed with, and they can actually diagnose kids at birth now with myotonic dystrophy. You have Duchenne's muscular dystrophy that affects the boys, and that's what Chris Hopper rode for, was Duchenne's with Mile Monsters. And they ride for helping the boys live their best life, and they take care of the boys. It's they're not doing the research and stuff, but they're taking care of the boys, and I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
We have so many people with myotonic that we thought it was better on our cause to just go right to the foundation. So if you go to our page, there is a donation link that's still open. I'm still $27,000 away from my goal. So we're at 97,000. I'm looking for 125, and people are going to get tired of hearing me say, hit the donate button. But I mean, we had some videos that were seen 7 million times. If everybody that saw the video just donated $1, I wouldn't be having to nag on people for $1. But,
yeah, and I mean, obviously, kind of to your point, there's obviously there's a lot of charities, a lot of great charities, everything like that. But as bikers and the people watching here and the people who will watch this later, this guy rode 145,000 miles in 145 days for that particular cause. So if you want to pitch a tenner that way, he earned it. I'm going to share this, Jay.
You're cutting me short. It was 146, damn it.
Oh, sorry. 146. My bad. I'll update all my stuff here. Let me find
145,000 and one by accident.
Right.
There we go.
As a bonus.
So this is your main page for that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know what the main. Room Old Man Indian 125 plus for myotonic. Yes, that is the page.
Yeah, I wanted to pop it up so the folks could find it easily on Facebook.
Say again.
So I wanted to find it and pop it up so folks could, in the chat and everything that watch it, could find it pretty easily on Facebook. So it's
gotcha. At the top are our challenge coins. We still have some of them available. If anybody wants a $50 challenge coin as a momentum from the, what is a world record ride, if I can get Guinness to stop giving me a hard time, telling me that miles really aren't measurable.
What?
I don't know how they come up with that.
Right. Every vehicle on the road literally measures miles.
It is a unit of measurement. That is all it is.
It is.
Right. And I've got, I've got my spot walla. I had a Zolio tracker. I had my spot tracker, and I had a U.S. fleet tracker. And I have a GPS report that reports out all of my miles. And, it's not measurable. And I don't know, we've had 3 emails back and forth just on the measurable part. But we'll get there.
They measure feet, don't they?
You would think.
Now you're going to have me Googling how many feet is.
How many feet's in a mile? 5,280.
No, I was going to say, let's see. Okay, you rode. I'm making sure I'm hitting 146.
Yeah, 5,280.
146,000 times 5,280.
Oh, geez, that's a really big number.
I think your calculator's going to do that.
And just put it on the screen.
All right. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point, Jay. I'm not going to try and. They didn't put commas, so I was lost.
I get lost after the first comma. So
there we go. You rode 770,880,000 feet. Just plug in that, and you'll be good to go.
Maybe I'll have to do that.
That's
770 million.
Yeah, right.
880,000.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You missed a zero earlier.
Did I?
You were just short of just a shy short of a billion feet.
Yeah, Pat, have you considered maybe your next ride to be specifically 1 billion feet?
Yeah, there you go.
Depending on what Guinness does, I mean, I may have to.
Right.
Let me see.
1 billion divided by 5,280.
Okay, that would be 189,400 miles.
Yeah.
So I may hit that in a year.
Right.
Because I am still riding, I am still accumulating miles, and I am looking at doing a 200,000 mile year.
Woo! That'll get you 1 billion feet right there.
So
You know, it's funny because you say that. I looked at my sort of rap sheet and I was like, you know what? This is the year I'm going to do a mile leader silver. I'm going to do 5 iron butts, 2 gold in 1 year. And this dude's like, well, I've already done 145,000. I guess I could just hit 200K. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to go for a billion feet and change.
I don't have a bronze mile leader certificate.
Well, I mean, you do in spirit.
146 and 146. You get whatever you want.
That probably makes you like titanium or diamond in spirit, technically. Just, you know.
Double diamond.
You know, like I said, it just comes, you know, and I tell everybody 146,000 miles is a ridiculous number.
Yeah.
And you don't, you know, yeah, there's some skill and there's some experience that goes into riding that far, you know, and there's planning and there's training, and you know, it's you don't wake up one morning and go, I'm going to run a marathon. So, you know, you don't go get your motorcycle license and go, hey, give me a bike, I'm going to go ride 150,000 miles starting tomorrow. But there's a certain amount of luck or a certain amount of blessing that goes into a ride like that. When you're out on the road, you know, and we all know, the longer you spend on the road, the more miles you do, the greater your risk grows every day exponentially for deer, moose, elk, bear, boar, cars, trucks, people, weather, like anything at all can take you off the road. So to be able to accomplish, you know, my first 72 days were absolute iron butt saddle sores.
Yeah.
Then I got knocked over by the truck and got busted up. I was off the road for 5 days. I played catch up to 100,000. I hit my 125. I hit my 145. To be able to hit those marks in consecutive days, I tell everybody the ride had to be blessed.
Yeah.
I mean, I had some close calls with cars coming at me on the wrong side of the median. I saw my fair share of wildlife. But, you know, I did have an electronic deer whistle on the bike. I had an XP3 Hornet. I have one on my Challenger with a Pathfinder, an infrared Pathfinder. And the infrared camera tells me that the deer whistle works well. So I did not put an infrared on the record bike. I didn't put one on Pappy, but I did make sure I had the Hornet on there. I had no close calls with animals over 146,000 miles, which
nice.
Is so it had to be blessed. It had to, you know, it was the right guy. It was the right year. It was the right charity. It was just everything fell into place. You don't just, you know, I don't care what your experience level is. You can't just say, you know, I was good enough to do that. I don't, you know, I mean, maybe somebody is. I don't believe that I'm good enough to do that. I believe I was lucky enough and blessed enough to be able to accomplish it for the charity that I set out to do it for.
And stubborn enough.
Yes, and stubborn enough and tenacious enough and stupid enough and not have enough quit in my body to go, no, I'm not stopping. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Damn it. You know, I mean, yeah, but, you know, and it all goes, you know, hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know? And I hope that there's somebody out there. I mean, I know there's people out there that can ride more miles than I can and more days than I can. It's just, you know, everything has to come together. I mean, you got to have the time, you got to have the finances, you got to have the motorcycle, you got to have the luck, you got to have the blessings, you got to have the experience. You know, a lot goes into it. And I hope somebody does 147 and 147 or more before I die, so I'm not known as the dumbest son of a bitch to ride that far that fast. So, and I hope I'm still able to ride a motorcycle, because I will damn well go out and ride with them from 146 to 147 and be the first one to shake their hand.
Yeah.
Because I am a one and done. I am not doing that again. That beat me up.
Was there anything that was unexpectedly hard? Was there something you wasn't expecting it to be hard that actually turned out to kind of creep up on you, maybe?
I mean, I did hit a mental wall
Mm-hmm.
on day 87. And I rode 11 hours that day. I covered 770 miles. and I felt like I was on a treadmill going nowhere.
Yeah.
I was just so, I mean, whether it was tired, the weather, whatever it was that day, I was spent. And I ran into some friends in South Dakota, and I stayed at their house. And, Bev said a couple of prayers, and we all got together, and we had a good meal. And, I went to get some sleep, and I came out, and my windshield was clean, and my mirrors were clean, and my lights were clean, and my helmet was clean, and I could see where I was going. I could see what I was doing. As soon as the sun came up on day 88, I pulled over to the side of the road, and I made a video about positivity and mental attitude, and how you have to change your perspective when things aren't going well. And that video was made by me for me.
Yeah.
Because I needed to get that out there. I needed to hear myself go, "You can do this, jerk off."
Yeah.
And day 88, I did 1,300 miles. So it's just you got to changes in attitude, changes in latitude, right? Thank you, Jimmy.
Yep.
So you have to do those things. I was not expecting day 73. I mean, we all ride motorcycles, and we all know that tractor trailers put off a big gust of wind when they pass us.
Yeah.
But to be sitting on the shoulder of the road, get blown over by one, that's, I would never have thought of that.
Yeah. Busted Knuckles here asked, how many states did you hit during your ride?
Oh, I hit all 48 lower states a few times.
Yeah.
I think you probably hit all of them, but yeah.
I hit all 48. I contemplated going to Alaska, but then I would have had to end the longest continuous ride in one country without going home, which was one of the Guinness records. That record was set at 87,050 and a half. So before I went home, I was at like 147.3 and change. I had thought about going to Alaska, but I didn't want to do it until I was well over the 87,000 mark. And now I'm getting into September, and now the weather's starting to get questionable. And I'm like, I didn't set out to do this ride for me. I set out to do this ride for myotonic dystrophy. So I rode Alaska last year. So if I claim 50 states in 2 years, that's good enough for me, because I'm going to Hawaii on vacation in 2 weeks. And I've rented a motorcycle down there.
On the Indian, or are you going to fly?
So, yeah, I put a paddle wheel on it on the rowboat.
There you go.
Might take a day or two.
How many loops around the Big Island does it take to get to 1,000?
I have no idea, nor do I really care. If I get 100 miles in to say I rode in Hawaii, I'm good with that.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Well, the inverse of my earlier question, what was something you found that was like surprisingly easy for you personally?
How easily I was able to adapt to the changes.
Yeah.
The only thing guaranteed not to change on this ride was the fact that shit was going to change every day.
Yeah.
So I started out the ride, and the goal was, on day 10, I was going to roll into the dealership with 500 miles done. I was going to get my oil changed. We're going to check out the bike real quick, and I'm going to roll out, and I'm going to do another 500 miles. And I rolled into the dealership, and it was only 2 hours. But 2 hours of looking at your watch, tapping your foot, drop every tool that he picked up, because he knew that you were breathing down his neck. So now he's nervous. And that was absolutely horrible for everybody involved.
Yeah.
So the next time it was, okay, I'm going to roll out at midnight. I'm going to roll into you about 2 or 2:30. And that's going to give you 3.5 or 4 hours to do a tire change and an oil change. But then he knew that if he didn't get it done, he had to stay a half hour later. It was no big deal, because I was sleeping.
Yeah.
So there was a whole lot less stress. So that's how we changed all of our service from whenever to I was getting my miles in for the day. Then I'm going to pull into the dealership. Unless there was an emergency, and everything that I had the power to schedule, whether it be a tire change or an oil change, or when I did the major service on the bike and I changed neck bearings and bushings and brakes and rotors and I changed everything front and back on the bike. And that was a planned out thing. It was like, I'm riding my 1,000 miles. I'm pulling in. You put 2 mechanics on it. You got 5 or 6 hours to get a 12-hour job done.
Yeah.
And then, I give them my credit card. They run it. They leave me the receipt and the bike. I go back in the morning. I get on the bike and I roll out. But how easily I adapted to the changes was probably the best part for me. And I don't know if that's from being in the military or being on the fire department. But it was very easy for me to just, go with the flow of, I lost my stator at 106,000 and I was mad about it.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch, and I wasn't mad because, the stator went out. I mean, 106,000 on a stator, running 3 sets of auxiliary lights, an auxiliary tank with a pump, my whole Farkle bar to get 106,000 out of the stator was phenomenal. Right. I was off because now I'm going to be 1,000 miles behind in miles again.
Yeah.
So, once I got over that, it didn't leave me stranded. I knew I was having an issue. I called up, I rode it 60 miles to the dealership. They changed out the stator. When I started having what I thought were fuel pump issues, and I brought the fuel pump issue to them at the factory, and they looked into it. The way the fuel pumps are designed, the filter is on the bottom, and it obviously filters out whatever's in the gas. And with the new ethanol gas that we're using, the wax particles from the ethanol build up in the piping, they build up in the pump and all that. So every time you pump gas, you put a little bit of those wax particles in your gas tank.
Yeah.
And they get caught by the filter, and as the filter sits in the gas, it dissolves back into the solvent, and now it passes through the filter, and you don't have an issue. And so you're running 40 gallons a day through the bike every day, and there's no time for the shit to dissolve.
Yeah.
So what I thought were fuel pump problems were fuel filter problems. But from a service aspect, it was quicker to just change the pump. Yeah. So you pull the pump out, you put a new pump in, we're done. It's not pull the pump, walk over to the bench, take it apart, pull the filter off, put a new filter on, get it all secure, and now bring it back and put it in. I saved 45 minutes or an hour just changing out the fuel pumps.
Yeah, just change the whole thing.
Yep, and 45 minutes or an hour doesn't sound like a whole lot of time to save, until you're running 1,000-mile days and you're getting tired when you're 70, 80, 90, 100, 110 days in. I mean, you're getting tired. I don't care how much sleep you're getting. I did well. I mean, I averaged anywhere from 5 to 7 hours of sleep. My norm is 5 to 6.
Yeah.
So for me to ride the bike and get 5 or 6 hours, and that was pull in, whether I'm at a hotel or I'm at somebody's house, throw in a load of wash, get something to eat, throw it in the dryer, get a shower, go to bed, get up 5, 6 hours later and do it again. Wasn't a big deal. That was easy to adapt to. It's just that, after I broke my collarbone, tore the rotator cuff and cracked the rib and had to chase miles, and I was 3,400 miles behind with 22 days to go for 100,000. That was a task. I had to do, I think it was 1,187 miles a day.
Yeah.
And chasing miles is miserable. So it's the same motorcycle, it's the same roads, it's the same rider, it's the same miles. Everything is exactly the same except this.
Yeah.
So to do 1,000 miles and go, I want to put 200 miles in the bank. Those 200 miles are easy. But now do 1,000 miles and go, I have to do another 200 miles.
Yep.
It's like a week
to
get those 200 miles done. So when you have to do it as compared to wanting to do it is a big difference.
Yeah.
And I don't care what kind of mental game you play in your head, you still know that you have to do them.
Yeah.
As I told Jerry the last time I did it, I was quietly, loudly yelling at myself, I fucking hate every bit of this. You remember? I was screaming out into the void at 2 a.m. in the dark. I was over it, or whatever. I mean, it happens for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there were days I was riding down the road, and I've got 960 miles, and I've got to go 40 more miles, and I'm screaming. I was screaming at myself, "You got to get this done!" I didn't want to. I had days like that. Thankfully, it wasn't every day.
Yeah.
And thankfully, for whatever reason, I was allowed to get my miles caught up, make all my marks. I mean, that's whatever, whether you want to call it luck or call it a blessing or whatever you want to call it. I'm grateful that I was able to, even with the setback on day 73, I was off the road for a few days because of the waiting for parts. The part came in on Wednesday. I did a 100-mile test ride. I set out doing my 1,000 miles again on Thursday. There's a lot more. I said it before. There's a lot more that goes into that than just I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm grateful that I was able to accomplish it. And I will be very grateful if somebody does 147 and I can shake their hand before I die. So
I feel like they have to go further. I feel like really 200, maybe 175 or 200 is like the next target. You can't just go 147. It's like beating somebody by 1,000th of a second.
So I mean, well, if the next person really wants to keep going with the schedule, so if you think about it, I tied the last two records. So Matt Wise had 45 and Chris had 100. So the next guy should have to tie me and Chris. So they should have to do 246.
There
if
you
they
go.
Keep the track going.
Yeah.
Or,
well, there were a few people that were trying to do it while you were doing it, right?
Say again?
There were at least a couple of people that were attempting it at the same time as you, right?
So there were three riders that set out this year to do 100,000 plus miles, and one was Chris Hopper, and unfortunately, he did get into an accident. I think it was day 30 and busted up his wrist. And again, we know Chris is a good rider. Chris did 100,000 miles in 100 days. He knows that it can be done, but at any time, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Gottschalk up in Minnesota, he set out to do 120 and 120 riding for sex trafficking. So very passionate about, kids being picked up and stolen and put into the sex trades. And, he was raising a lot of money and raising a lot of awareness. And he set out to do 120 and 120. And on day 22, he had an accident, totaled his bike, and busted up his leg. Thankfully, they both survived. A couple of surgeries later, they're both good to go. They're both still riding, so that's a blessing in itself. And it just goes to show, like I said, I mean, Chris has done this before. Chris knows what it's about. So he's a good rider. He did it. He wasn't able to accomplish it this time. Something was off. It's just, who knows what or why.
Well, and it could have happened when he did the 100,000 in 100 days. He just, like say, lucky, blessed, whatever. He rode 100 clean days.
Absolutely.
And it could happen to anybody. But Hani asked here, what was the most impactful part of your ride?
Probably the last 20 days. So when I rolled in at 125, which was absolutely a great feeling to finish that, and I got a chance to look at where the fundraising was, and the fundraising was at $42,000, and I was just like, this is horrible. Like, how can I work this hard for this? I mean, and not that $42,000 is a small amount of money. Right. But how can I work so hard for so long for so little? And I went out to do the plus ride, and in the next 20 days, to raise an additional $50,000, to be able to accomplish another 20 days and to be able to finish it in Monument Valley like Forrest Gump. That was those
looking like Forrest Gump.
feeling like Forrest Gump. I mean, I'm pretty tired was quite an understatement. But
and one day I just went for a ride.
Yep.
Mhm.
Mama told me. But that was probably the most impactful phase, was the support that I got in those 20 days compared to the first 125 days.
Well, I'll pop that up.
There's that good looking guy.
In case no one could see the size of the thumbnail, he is wearing a Bubba Gump Shrimp Co. hat at the finish here.
Yeah. On the road in Monument Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you Google Forrest Gump and ride or and run, we were at the exact location. And it's just, and again, even that, I mean, I had 5 or 6 bikes set up to come out and meet me in Monument Valley. And if you've ever, if you've completed the Hokahay Motorcycle Challenge, once you finish it, you are allowed to do what's called a gauntlet drop. And that is nothing but a call to arms. You've got 48 hours. So anybody that has finished it at any time can go, all right, I'm dropping the gauntlet. And that means you're coming to wherever I say, and you've got 48 hours, because that's all it is 48 hours. You can't give any more notice than that. And it's typically at a restaurant. I'm dropping the gauntlet at Taco Tim's, and I'm dropping it Thursday at noon, and we're going to meet there Saturday at noon for lunch.
Yeah.
And you may have nobody show up. You may have 50 people show up. You never know. And I did a gauntlet drop I dropped the gauntlet on Saturday for an arrival in Monument Valley in Mexican Hat on Monday at 5 o'clock with a meetup 1 hour before the gauntlet drop at a certain latitude and longitude. I didn't put Forrest Gump Point. We just put a latitude and longitude on it. I had 5 or 6 bikes that were going to be there, and I come rolling down the road. There were 18 bikes. So 12 people took up the gauntlet drop. I mean, I had somebody from Canada, I had somebody from Oregon, from Arizona, like all over the place, just showed up in Monument Valley. We reenacted, and we had one shot at it. So Jason and Chase Setzer. So Chase Snapshot, they do a lot of the camera work and video work for Mile. And I called up Chase and I said, what would it take to get you out there? And we got it all figured out. Him and Jason came out and did the video. And we had one shot. We didn't have permits. We couldn't close the road. We pull up out there, and there was a guy out there in a car. And he goes, hey, you're old man. I went, yeah. He goes, I've been following you. I didn't know you were going to be here. Okay, I didn't know you were going to be here either. And I had no idea who he was, so of course I wouldn't know. I said, you got a car, right? He says, yeah. I said, can you do me a favor? I said, we're all going to go down to that bottom parking area. I said, when I go to pull out, can you block the road? He goes, well, can I get a copy of the video? I went, absolutely. He goes, okay, I'll block the road. And he pulled out, he blocked the lane that we were in, and we came rolling up the hill. And as soon as I stopped and I napped Pappy, the oncoming car stopped. They thought there was an accident. So the cars weren't, and it was just the perfect scenario to put that video together in one shot. And I think it came out, I mean, for one shot, I think it came out great.
Yeah.
So,
No,
but it was quite a moment out there. And we rolled in there. When I rolled in there, I was at 145,054 miles. And I pulled over to the side of the road. I took the video at 145,000. I pulled over at 145,000 and a half miles. We finally got stopped on the side of the road. And I literally needed to take a moment. I mean, that was a bit trying for me, because that was a mark that was a long time coming, and I was very happy to meet it, and I was very happy to have friends there with me to meet it. So
I'm hoping that the pictures
final
are popping up
rode
from
out
that day.
met me in Georgia and rode out to Monument Valley with me. Larry Patton came down from Nebraska. Dan Crowley came out from North Carolina. Terry Collier, we all met at her house in Oklahoma, and we all rode down together the next morning to Monument Valley. And just to have, Hoka Hey brothers and sisters and just friends to be there and be part of that was quite heartwarming.
Well, after you get back from vacation in Hawaii, what's you got any future plans or?
So yeah, when I get back from vacation, I'm going to get on the bike. I'm going to try and obviously it's going to be a little chilly, so I'm going to stay probably below the I-40 corridor. I'm going to reach out to the Indian dealerships across the lower states and see if we can't set up some meet and greets and get into the Indian dealers and meet some of the riders that were supporting the ride all along and some of the dealerships that were supporting the ride. Indian Motorcycles of New Orleans. My ride just started. I was 3 weeks in. Nobody even knew I was on the road yet. And I hit a pothole in Louisiana and broke my rim. It took me 4.5 hours to get AAA to tow me into the dealership. I got there at 10:01 in the morning, and at 10:53 in the morning, I was rolling out. They took a rim off a bike on the showroom floor and put it on my bike.
Nice.
And my dealer in Virginia did the same thing with my last rim. That it wasn't broken, but it had a flat spot.
Yeah.
So when I needed a rim, dealers were willing to pull them off of brand new bikes because the only rim that fitted was a 25 Pursuit. It was different than 20 to 24s. I had a dealership in Kansas City. I had reached out. I was on my way to Kansas City. I was having that fuel issue. And they said, we don't have a fuel pump. Pikes Peak does in Colorado. But if you can't get there and you get here, we'll just pull a fuel pump off a new bike and put it in.
Sweet.
So, that's the kind of service, most of the dealers, that was the response that I got. And a lot of the response that I got was early on before anybody even knew the ride was going on. New Orleans had no idea who Old Man was, let alone somebody riding those kind of miles. I was just like, I pulled in, I told them they had no reason to believe me, but they took a wheel off them, but they went, well, we don't want to see you stranded, so we'll just pull one off the bike and put it on.
Dude, that's way cooler of a story anyway. If you were on some super publicized ride that Indian corporate had told everyone drop everything if this guy shows up, it would be a different story. It wouldn't be as cool of a story as you just rolling in as a stranger and getting a wheel off a new bike.
So I started out in May, and I believe it was sometime in July. A number of dealerships were informed that I was doing the ride, but even after that notification went out, I had an event scheduled at one of the offices, and I called a dealership. I called them 8 days ahead of time, and I said, listen, I'm coming in to this office. I'm doing a media event for Indian. I'm going to need a back tire. I said, can I get in there and get a back tire? I said, it's going to be like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Oh, there's no way. We have no room in the schedule. I'll call somebody else. And I hung up the phone. And they already knew about the ride.
Yeah.
So, and no different than any motorcycle manufacturer. You do have your dealers out there that, they're just holier than thou and they're going to stick to their guns. And, if you are not on the schedule a month ahead of time, you're not getting taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the most part, and I will be the first to admit, yes, the Indian dealership network is smaller than the other American-made motorcycle. But the fact that I did not need a dealership quite as often as I did when I owned one of those other motorcycles, it's a wash. I had no issues on the road that I couldn't get to. The only time I got towed was when I had a flat tire, or not a flat tire, but a broken rim.
Yeah.
I don't carry a rim, man. I carried a lot of stuff on that bike. A rim wasn't one of them. So if I broke the rim, I had to get towed. That was the only time I got towed. I made it to the dealership with the skater. I made it to the dealership every time I had a fuel issue problem. Like, there was nothing that left me stranded on the side of the road except for broken rims from potholes. And I thank the DOT in the U.S. for that.
Yeah, I will say, you know, if you're doing a dealer tour, just FYI, there's a Mach 1 Indian Triumph here in Northwest Arkansas. If you want to come hang out for a little while, you're more than welcome. You know, just letting you know, they're cool folks. I've been working with them for a while. So if you want to come down here, I'm sure they would be more than happy to host you.
And where are they in relation to I-40?
They're north of I-40. You should definitely come to Gregory Polaris, south of I-40.
Polaris? What? No. It's
Polaris. Polaris doesn't own Indian.
Yeah, right. What are you talking about?
Well, they're the ones that sell them locally.
We're about what Jay would you say? We're about what 60 miles north of I-40, I think, something like that. Yeah, about 60. Bentonville, Arkansas.
I mean,
Arkansas.
If the day is right, 60 miles is not far.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys have a way to get in contact with me. Send me the dealership information, and when I get back,
I will personally connect you with Casey and Courtney, the owners of the dealership, very quickly.
So yeah, get me in touch with them, and we'll schedule when I get back. We'll schedule a meet and greet. You know, they'll have probably a week and a half if they want to put it out. You know that crazy old bastard that rode his ass off is coming in. If you want to come by and make fun of him, you know.
No, they're both pretty hardcore riders too, and I just bought a bike from them 2 weeks ago. So I've been hanging out with them for about a year, but I just bought a bike from them a couple weeks ago. So
you know what's funny is I have all these people tell me, "Oh, we were following you," and I keep, well, you should have followed closer because I got lonely out there. I never saw you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great ride. The service went well as far as getting things serviced. The awareness was phenomenal. I mean, never in my wildest dreams that I imagined that we would have been followed in 13 different countries. Some videos seen 7, 8, 9 million times on over 490,000 separate accounts. I mean, that's a lot of people that probably never heard of myotonic dystrophy. That they may not know what it is, they may not research it, but they've heard of it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a lot.
Well, and to be fair, Pat, I just want to bring this into perspective. What you did is absolutely crazy.
Yep.
The fact that people are willing to watch it, there's a lot of dumb stuff people watch a bajillion times these days. But the fact that you got a bunch of views on doing this crazy ride is justified because it is absolutely crazy.
It was without a doubt a crazy ride. And like I said, my first goal was to get home in one piece. So I was a little cracked, but I made it home in one piece. My second goal was the awareness that went very well. And my third goal was the fundraising. And I'm still working on that. The ride is over and now my work starts.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Pat, man, we're going to wrap it up, brother. Where can everybody find you?
All right. Vroom Old Man on Facebook or Instagram. Probably the same on TikTok. I don't know. I don't have TikTok. My social media team being my sister. So my sister was my social media team. My wife was my merchandiser. And, all I did was sat my ass in my lazy boy, played with my remote control in my right hand, and watched the National Geographic Scenery Channel for 5 months. So, they did a lot of hard work, behind the scenes. And, and a lot of people. I mean, the dealerships, Indian Motorcycles of Southeastern Virginia, I mean, they were great whenever I needed to get in there. And I mean, I could literally, there's 6 dealerships that went out of their way, no matter when I was rolling through there. Elkhart, Indiana, Sioux Falls, Pikes Peak, New Orleans. I know there's a major one that I'm forgetting, and I apologize. I can't think off the top of my head. But I mean, they were just, if you need it, they're there. And that's, and I don't care who you are or what motorcycle you're riding. That's what you need is a dealership that when you call them, they're going to get you going. They don't want to see you stranded on the side of the road.
Yes, sir. And being that it is the month that it is, and next week, what branch of the military were you in?
Say again.
What branch of the military were you in?
I was a squiddly diddly. I was in the Navy.
Right on, right on. Well, thank you for your time and your efforts.
We were the Marine transport, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, Veterans Day next week, so we figured reach out today.
Well, thank you much. I appreciate it.
Chase, you have anything else, sir?
No, I've spent a good bit of time picking Pat's brain before this, and I'm sure I'll pick his brain a few more times after this. So be prepared, Pat. I'm going to want you back on eventually. But
all right. Well, I'm going to keep eating up miles, looking for my 200,000 mile year. So we'll touch base before then.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you guys take care. I appreciate you having me on, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Be good.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that does another show, everybody. Do not forget to find and follow Pat Vroom Old Man on Facebook, Instagram, possibly TikTok.
Maybe TikTok.
Go donate $1. There's 14 people in here right now. That'd be $14 more towards his goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that big a deal. Y'all have a fine night. Don't forget to stop by Chase's channel. Thank you for stopping by mine. Y'all have a good night. Be safe out there. Remember to take care of one another, because won't nobody else. And good.
Pull up on me.